is, if you look at the annual profile, it's going 50s, it's going up, 60s, it's going up, and it starts to kind of like crest, like waves cresting. It starts to crest in the 80s and the 90s and 2000, and it's almost flat line. And there's actually, this isn't the first time, it was actually 97, there was a little tick down in decline, but it was still going up. Well, if you look at the graph, and you can see the graph at Stetzer.com, it's now, it went to the top, and I believe it's hit the tipping point. I believe now the decline that many of us have already believed is there, because the membership's inflated, is now becoming real. And my hope is that, that this will cause people to wake up and change. We'll see. And I wrote that post today. We released the data today. My department does the data, Lifeway Research, but my blog is a commentary on that. So you want the story, it's linked to on the blog. My blog is a commentary where I believe that we can now say Southern Baptist Convention has joined so many other denominations as being a declining denomination. And I'll give you a little metaphor. Brad Lomnick, are you on this video right now too? Now you are.
Yes,
now you are. Now you are. Brad and I were like this.
Yeah.
Brad and I like this.
I was actually viewing, I was looking at your phone.
You're looking at my phone
sorry.
again. I'm with the obsession with my phone. I have funny shaped feet. I wanted to share that with you to have a tender moment. And the reason I have funny shaped feet is I can't ever get new shoes, but I have. If you look right now, new shoes. Bought them when I landed in Florida. And my
Those
feet
are hot,
killing
actually.
me. They are.
Those are nice shoes.
Thank you. And my feet are killing me, right? I have Band-Aids at 4 places on my feet because I have funny shaped feet. So I got to break in the shoes. I'll wear the same shoes forever because it hurts to change shoes. And here's the principle. People never change until the pain of staying the same grows greater than the pain of change. My denomination needs to understand that it needs to change. My hope is that the reality of decline will cause us to hurt for the right things, hurt for the gospel, hurt for people far from Christ, and learn to cooperate together to proclaim the good news in different kinds of ways, traditional, contemporary, emerging, biblically faithful churches, proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ, doing it cooperatively, and reaching a lost world for Jesus. So I don't write things because I got nothing else to do. I was up to 3:30 in the morning because we just got this. I got this data, walking up on the stage to go speak to almost 3,000 church planners here, and I get this data on my BlackBerry saying our denomination's in decline, and I go up and stand in front of 2,700 church planners, and it was a grievous moment. But so I stayed up late to do this so we could hopefully frame, not to say. There's people who say, well, it's no big deal, it's 1 year. No, look at that. It's been topping off, now it's ticking down. So we don't want people to say, that's no big deal. It is a big deal. Number two, we don't want them to say, well, let's just keep trying the same thing. It's not working. And so what we want to do is try to get people to say, what do we do now? Facts are our friends. The news, and it's big news. Southern Baptists have always said, we're growing slow. Can't say that anymore. This is the first time, we had 1 year, a little tick down, but it grew the next several years. First time we can say, I believe we've reached the top, the tipping point, and hopefully that will be a good thing. You say, how can bad be good? Because hopefully the pain of staying the same just grew greater than the pain of change.
Dr. Stetzer, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Last year at the convention, Southern Baptist Convention, it came to the floor about getting real about actual numbers in churches as far as checking for the...
They called it an integrity and membership resolution.
Right. On your annual church profile, the ACP.
Right, which is just the report yesterday was ACP.
Right, and it got shot down.
Yes. I don't think it will this year, but it did.
I was about to say, do you think this will help elicit a real conversation for that this next year?
Well, it is weird because part of the problem, Chris, is that the way that we report is we ask churches. So I mean, I can have 74 votes saying give an accurate number, but if your church has, the typical church has 500 members and 200 attendees, I can't go in and say you're lying.
Right.
Because ultimately they count Aunt Sally, who came till she was 13 and then dropped out, hasn't been back since, but she's still a member. And she tells everyone, well, I'm a member of that church. Well, so there's the issue of autonomy of the local church. I think a better measure is not membership. I think a better member are things like attendance and covenant community. But as a church planner, I've never had a church that had more people in membership than I had in attendance.
Right.
We had 400 attendees and 200 members.
Sure.
So, that's church plants are different. But I think it's a theological issue. I think we can vote this year, and I think we will. I think it'll probably pass. The issue is not vote saying membership is being counted wrong. The real issue is we need to get our churches to value regenerate church membership of Christians who are in accountability with each other. But that means church discipline, that means, biblical standards for membership, that means membership classes, and that's going to take a long time and a lot of change. But I think it's going to have to happen. What I would say is I don't think this will trigger that change. I think education, teaching what membership means will trigger that change. And that's going to be a longer process than just the news that came out today.
Who do you think is going to be more affected by this news? Those that are in leadership roles within the denomination now, or future leadership?
Yeah, I hope those in the denomination now. I don't think the future leadership, I don't think this is a surprise to the future leadership.
Sure.
I think they're like, yeah, we kind of sensed that for a while. I think for the current leadership, many people in our churches, I just hope it'll say, all right, what are we going to do now? And my hope is we're going to cooperate together. Well, I wrote 3 things. We'll stop driving away young and ethnic leaders, number 1. Number 2, we'll quit fighting. We got to quit fighting and start getting to fixing. And then the third thing is that we will get refocused on the gospel. I do think contemporary churches, traditional churches alike, we're preaching this try harder, just be a good person, and the traditional churches are saying to be a good person by not doing things. Contemporary churches are saying to be a good person by doing things. And I think all of us need to get back to a centered on preaching the gospel that's shaped by the cross and quit preaching messages that would still be true if Jesus hadn't died on the cross. So I think a recovery of the gospel is kind of a key issue.
I'm noticing your vlog. I mean, you have great hope.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. I mean,
I might be naive, but I do have hope.
All right, I like what you said here. You said, my prayer is that unlike the church at Sardis, we are far from dead. However, it is obvious to us now that we are slumbering in the light. I'm looking at the comments on here.
Yeah.
Seems like pretty much everybody agrees with you, or they've said thank you for saying what
Sure.
you said. Have you gotten pushback from people? I mean, this is pretty black and white. I mean, this isn't like just someone's opinion that this is happening. Now, why, I guess, the why behind it could be.
Well, because I went, in the blog, I go to commentary, and I say, here are the solutions. There are a significant number of people who will not agree with my solutions. I talk about the need to stop the narrowing of parameters. There are people in my denomination that want to continue to fight over tertiary theological issues. I talk about a hair's difference between some of the theological positions, but people will push you off a bridge because of those hair's difference. I think ultimately there were people will not agree with all that we say, but I do think that there is a tipping point that's being reached in my denomination that more and more people are saying, okay, I get it. And I hear more and more people saying, we gotta change, we gotta stop the fighting. I think the election of Frank Page, the most recent president, is a key for that. I hear more and more voices. I hear voices like, you see Danny Aiken is the very influential leader in my denomination. I don't think all you guys are Southern Baptists, though. Maybe after the meeting today we can fix that.
I'm thinking about converting.
You thinking about converting?
Yeah.
We're ready, man.
Yeah.
I am too.
You are. Yeah, you're supposed to be already. But Danny Aiken, very significant leader in our denomination, president of one of our seminaries, weighed in. I think more and more people are being vocal. In our denomination, Brad, this is Baptist speak, but we call it what's called the conservative resurgence. When I went to seminary in the 90s and early 90s, I was taught that the Bible was corrupted by Greek. In Southern Baptist Seminary, the Bible was corrupted by Greek influence. Couldn't be trusted. Gender issues. And people didn't realize how far theologically the Southern Baptist Convention had gone to the left. And so we had this thing called the conservative resurgence, which kind of restored a focus on inerrancy, kind of a key evangelical doctrine and other things. Well, what we found is the conservative resurgence, and I quoted Cal Guy, who's a very, again, you wouldn't know Cal Guy. Cal Guy is probably one of the most respected Southern Baptist statesmen who said theology must stand the test of its fruit. Well, I think the conservative resurgence has failed to produce a missional resurgence. And we hear people like Danny Aiken and Tom Rayner and others calling for a Great Commission resurgence. I might use the word missional, a little nuanced, but they're calling for a Great Commission resurgence. I hope that more and more people will say, we got to get together, pull together, fix, not fight, focus on the mission, see the world transformed by the gospel. I hope so. But you're right, I am hopeful. And that's ultimately, I work for Lifeway. I work with a lot of different denominations. I'm here, this is a multi-denominational conference. I see what God's doing all over the place. I see denominations are struggling. I see hope for what's happening in my community of faith, my denomination. It's not a prison for me, it's a home. I come home to it. I'm glad to be home, but I can go out and visit and be with friends with others. I think a lot of Baptists don't do that well, and they need to learn to. But it's not a prison for me, and I think I see hope. Last night we had a dinner. The International Mission Board of my denomination, we had a dinner, and I kind of hosted it. You were there.
Yeah,
And,
Chris was there.
Chris was there, yeah, that's right. And several guys were there. And, we talked about getting involved in global mission. We have over 5,000 missionaries around the world that we fund through our cooperative giving system called the Cooperative Program. Nobody has that. You go around the world, people say, I wish we had that system. So, I'm in it for the missionaries. I'm in it for the missionaries. And that's why we had that last night. And I think we're seeing people say, we're gonna cooperate for mission, and we're gonna be about the mission of God. I hope, I'm praying, I'm believing, and hopefully, I think the response today is people are seeing that, and more people, this will be another step to them saying, all right, doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results is a sign of insanity. What are we gonna do different?
Let me ask you one
Yeah,
other question.
I mean, you go around the